changed my highlight colour. I've added a bit more magenta now. So let's just, make the two animals a little bit distinct from one another by making the one on the left a little more purple. So that's creating a nice brown where I've overlaid that on the yellow background. So that's kind of cool to remember for the future. I'm just going to go and grab some more of that blue. Now, a split second after I turned the camera off, I also sprayed that other second animal with some water, as you can see there. And that was simply to get that wash moving, so that's why that textured pattern has suddenly appeared. I'm just putting in a little bit of a wash there in blue, just a bit on that first animal that I've missed. Okay, so now we are in a situation where I've actually got some blue to hand on my palette here. So that's always a good place to be, having enough paint. And what I'm going to do is mix up a darker colour now. Get a bit more of the magenta. I'm going with more or less the same colour scheme at this stage, I think. So that's quite a bit darker. It's a nice purple. I don't want to put it on too heavily. I still want it to be fairly translucent, but what we're going to do is begin to introduce some shadow to this animal now. So that right ear is very much in shadow, as is the front of the nose and mouth there. Just a line of shadow here, and the left side of the face as well. Left side of the head. And the ear as well. I'm just going to mist a little bit of water over there. I don't want it to go too crazy, but nevertheless. And I've just diluted the paint in the palette as well. And so now there's quite a dramatic shadow coming down the front here. So we can block in this whole area. A little bit of darkness along there, a touch there. Again, keeping in mind the direction of the brush strokes. The legs here are really quite dark and in shadow, but if little bits of light kind of are still showing at the edges, that's okay. There's probably going to be a bit of light catching there. It's a little bit darker here up on the hindquarters. And I think I'm going to leave that leg as it is for the moment. And then, I just got to let the cat out of the room, hang on. Now for the left hand animal, I'm going to do a similar thing. I've grabbed what remains of that blue, but I'm going to put a bit more of the magenta in, just as I did with the underlying wash. So I've actually gone really quite purpley. And then we can do a similar thing. So this ear is dark. And then a little bit of darkness there. Again, front and bottom of the nose. There's a line of shadow there, up here, there as well. That strayed inadvertently onto the first animal, and I don't want that, so lifted that bit off with my finger. And then again we look at the cast shadow coming down the body. So the ear casts kind of a nice little shadow there. And then it's really all quite dark down here. And along the front of this leg. There's a bit of shadow up in there. legs in deep shadow. It's kind of dark in there as well. Left side of this foreleg is pretty dark. And the shadow extends, you know, a good way down the leg, but not all the way to the bottom. So I've left that bit uncoated. It's pretty dark there, and then this is going to be pretty cool for a cast shadow color as well, actually. So let's put a little indication of a cast shadow for the first animal there, which actually extends back through there, and then the left hand animal here as well, little cast shadow. And then let's just get the surface of the painting a little bit damp over here, because there is some darkness along the top of the back here. But I want that paint to kind of move a little more than what I had going on before. So everything's still going okay for the moment. Let's put a bit of shadow in here. Now the only thing I don't like so far is this kind of little drip, which is, oh, I've just hit it by mistake, but so let's move that drip into something a little more cow-like, or steer-like, as I should say. And then we'll add a few little touches there. Alright, well I'm just going to mist the surface of the painting again with a little bit of water, just so that it doesn't dry out too completely. And I'm going to try and do a little bit of more detailed work and enhance the contrast a little bit as well. So I'm grabbing some more cobalt blue. I'm going to stick with my large brush just for now. Grab some of the magenta. So I've got a nice strong purple. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt umber. Mix that in with what's left of the purple in the well. So I've got kind of more of a neutral shadow colour now. You know, I don't want to kill the vibrancy of the colour I've got going completely, but I do want to deepen some of these shadows a bit. So let's put a little patch of darkness on the ear there, and on the left side of the head, and then, and it's almost impossible to see the eye in my reference, so, you know, it's in such deep shadow, but I'm just going to leave a little gap for the eye there that I will come back to later. And then similarly on the right here, there is a shadow under the brow, but I've left enough pale colour to allow me to work into that later. Dark spot there in the centre of the nose.